I guess you love movies. I do too. Hi guys, and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we're going to be doing a movie review. First one in a little while. Today I'm going to be talking about Kinds of Kindness, the new movie by Yorgos Lanthimos, a director I'm a big fan of. Favourites of his include Poor Things and Killing the Sacred Deer. The latter I have on Blu-ray right here. Poor Things will definitely be a Blu-ray pickup at some point in the future. We'll probably rewatch it on Disney Plus at some point as well. I love his movies. I think his newer stuff is a sort of more of a culmination of his more absurd tendencies, but his storytelling is a little bit more well-rounded. I like movies like The Lobster and The Favourite a bit more, but I think the abstraction sometimes is kind of the central part of the movie. I like the sort of more well-rounded stuff he's done later in his career. I think he's definitely got a Kubrickian sort of vibe to him, but he also, like I said, has a very unique absurdist tendency that I really enjoy. His movies are shot beautifully, they're well acted, and he's definitely a new and unique voice that I think is one of the best directors working today, or at least one of the most interesting directors. So going into Kinds of Kindness, I was definitely looking forward to it. It's got a great cast: Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, Willem Dafoe, and many others that sort of rotate in this this story of these three stories that make up the runtime of this film. So it's kind of like an anthology with a sort of central theme running through the whole thing, which I will get into as we go through the video. Overall, I found this to be a mixed bag. I think that there are parts that are genuinely fantastic, like basically any movie that this director makes, because he's extremely talented. But there are parts where I feel like it kind of loses its way, specifically towards the end, but I'll get onto that, like I said, throughout the video. The first story in this anthology film is the story of an architect, played by Jesse Plemons, who's married and seems happy. But his life is carefully curated by his boss, played by Willem Dafoe, to an absurd degree, where he has a piece of paper each day mailed to him that tells him what to do. Like every minute detail of his life: when to drink, when not to drink, when to eat, when not to eat, when to have sex, when not to have sex. There is bizarre detail in these envelopes, and one day Willem Dafoe asks Jesse Plemons' character to have a car accident. It doesn't go well at first, and the outcome is not what he wants, so he asks him to do it again. But Jesse Plemons, fearing that he will injure, possibly fatally, the man in the other car, basically is in a situation where he's considering refusing to do this. And this sort of tension and this sort of questioning of this structure of his life is the central conflict of the first story, and I really enjoyed this one. I found it very interesting, very engaging. It hooks you straight away. There's a sense of unease and feeling like, what's going to happen? Will he end up going through with this or not? The performances are really good. There's some great absurd dark humour. There's cuts from light to dark almost instantly, and that's kind of something that Lanthimos has done really well throughout his entire career. And I actually thought this one really paid off well. The ending's shocking and dramatic, and it's got some great imagery. And I think it's probably overall the strongest story of the whole movie, and a movie that I would actually want to watch. Like, I would be fine with this being like an hour or an hour and a half movie. Like, this could be like a short 90-minute weird thriller, and I would 100% watch it. The second film is about central to Jesse Plemons' character once again. Actually, the stories that the main character of Jesse Plemons, they're the best ones, actually. This one is about a cop who is in sort of the early stages of grief because his wife has gone missing on an expedition. She's basically a marine biologist. She goes around the globe sort of like doing all of these sort of missions and these sort of like research. Basically, she goes on ships and does research at sea. Basically, her ship's gone missing, and she's sort of presumed dead. They're still looking for her, but it's not looking good. And it's sort of early in the story kind of gets into what he's going through, his relationship with his friends who are trying to kind of keep him on the straight and narrow, but he's definitely struggling. Again, great performance from Jesse Plemons in this one, really, really exceptional stuff. And then she is eventually found and is returned to him, but there's some strange things about her, and she doesn't seem to be quite the same as she was, and he starts to question her and who she is and whether she is really his wife. His wife is played by Emma Stone in this one, and she has a bigger role in the second story. And this one's very good as well for the most part, but it's a lot darker, a lot more violent, and there is a turning point in this story which actually might be the best part of the whole movie. It sort of culminates in a sequence where Jesse Plemons pulls over someone for speeding, and it escalates to the point of absurdity, and it's extremely anxiety-inducing. And like I said, that's kind of the best moment of the film, all three stories in fact. And from that point it actually kind of starts to go downhill for me, because the second story kind of loses itself for a while in sort of dark craziness, and it sort of starts to try and over-explain things, and it sort of almost becomes a little bit laughable for a moment, and then it kind of saves itself at the end. The second story has a really effective, disturbing visual that closes that story. It's going to stay with me for a while, that shot, because I think it's really, really brilliant. But that sort of early onset of the kind of misdirection that I feel like this movie goes on is kind of seen in the second story, and goes on to become quite prevalent in the third one. Emma Stone is the main character in that one, and she plays a character that is part of a cult. Her and Jesse Plemons are like going around the country looking for a very specific person that they believe is like some sort of almost messiah type character, that is like, you know, that they're searching for. And this one is where it kind of loses its way for me. It feels a lot less clear and concise with what it wants to do. It feels a little bit less concentrated. There isn't that instant hook of what's going on. You know, with the first story you have the sort of absurd construct of his life that he's living in, and when he breaks with that, what's going to happen to him, or who is this woman, you know, that's come back from this island? Is she the same person? And there's that instant sort of intrigue. But with this, it's a lot looser, and I found it a little bit less engaging. And by the end, it was definitely my least favourite story. There are definitely some moments of dark humour that I enjoyed, but on the whole, this is kind of where the movie lost me a little bit, and the characters are kind of the problem with this movie. And I understand that in three stories you're never really going to get a real concrete character, but I feel like the third story specifically, they're very loose characters. They don't have a lot of depth to them. The first two, the emotion is strong enough where it kind of connects you to them through proxy, but by the third one I found like I was kind of losing it, and it was kind of it was boring me a little bit. And there's a choice he makes specifically in the third movie about a side character that I won't spoil, but I found to be kind of over the top and unnecessary, and probably gratuitous. And to be honest, Yorgos Lanthimos, you know, is known for his kind of, you know, strong kind of like disturbing moments in his movies that are countered by dark humour, and that's kind of his bag. But there's a choice he makes in the third story which kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, and I don't really think it was necessary. Overall, I think Kinds of Kindness has great moments. It's directed by a great director, but on the whole, I found it a little bit all over the place, and I think the first half was a lot better than the second half. I think the first half was a good movie. It had moments that I really enjoyed. It also went in directions that maybe I wasn't quite comfortable with, but I'm used to that with Yorgos Lanthimos, and sometimes I'm going to like them, sometimes I'm going to not. But the second half, it kind of lost me a little bit, and it definitely isn't his best work. I understand the themes of it that run through the whole thing is basically these characters, the absurdity of what we will do for purpose, what we will do for other people, what we'll do to feel accepted, what we'll feel to be part of a community, to feel like our life has meaning, and in a sense how absurd the idea of meaning really is. This movie's, you know, has a lot of moments of people trying to distract themselves from the mundanity, to try and find something to waste their time doing. There's a lot of moments of people talking about, what do you want to drink, what do you want to eat, and a lot of people take a lot of time and a lot of effort to sort of curate these moments in their lives as a distraction from the fact that they are struggling to find their purpose. And it's an interesting premise and it's an interesting theme, but on the whole, because this is 3 stories, the broad strokes are there, but a lot of the nuance is lost. And as the movie goes along, I feel like each story loses it a little bit more, loses that that sort of intensity, it loses that focus. I like abstraction, but abstraction has to come from a place of intense emotion, something I can hook onto. And as the movie goes along, I feel like that hook starts to loosen its grip. So I did enjoy Kinds of Kindness in moments, but overall I think it was a little bit up and down for me, a little bit of a mixed bag. I believe I gave it 3 stars on Letterboxd. It could easily be a 3.5-star movie, but it's definitely not one of my favourite Lanthimos movies. It's worth watching if you are a fan of the director, because, let's be honest, there's definitely moments of merit in it. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. If you want to see more reviews, like, comment, subscribe, because I'm pretty close to 200 subscribers now, so if you could get me to that number, that would be pretty awesome. Thanks for all the support on the recent videos, and if you did enjoy this video, hopefully I'll see you next time. Goodbye.